teachers, parents, and welcome to our first annual Ryerson Community School and Downtown Oakland Music Academy Speech Arts Competition.
This year's theme is student mental health and wellness, and our speeches will focus on this important subject matter.
Each finalist will be randomly selected to present their speech and will be asked one follow-up question by the judges at the conclusion of their speech.
Our esteemed judges for today's contest are Mr. Liu, Ms. Mary, and Ms. Penny. Please welcome our first speech artist, Sasha Simpson, who will be speaking on schizophrenia.
Hello, my fellow students, peers, caregivers, and teachers. How are you? I think you're doing well. How did you hear what I was saying? How did you hear my question to be perfectly exact? Well, you obviously heard with your ears. Ears that transmit sound waves and put them into your brain that give you a sensation of hearing. What if you heard me, but without your ears? What if you heard it in a complete dark and isolated room without anybody there except for you, but you still heard it? Welcome to the dark world of schizophrenia, an uncommon mental disorder, but still very severe. Symptoms include hallucinations, false beliefs, loss of social skills, and inability to determine reality from fantasy. Now, inability to determine reality from fantasy means that maybe you see something there that really shouldn't be there, but you still think it's real. Like, for example, imagine there's like this little dragon flying through this room, and it wasn't really there, but you think it's really there, because you can't tell if it's fantasy or reality. It's very disturbing. And oh, you may be thinking, this could never happen to me. This could never happen. I am a healthy adolescent child. I'm innocent and I'll be fine. Oh no. There's roughly 100 of you out there, and one of you, or the two of you, could develop schizophrenia in their lifetime. Most likely in late teen years and early 20s, but sometimes in your early 30s. You have an even greater chance if you live in the city, especially Toronto. I'm not trying to worry you, by the way, but the reason why is because man-made structures are not natural. Nature did not build this building. Many people had to build this building, but the brain thinks it's not really there. It's an illusion. This round touching is an illusion to my brain. But my cognitive sensibility thinks that it's actually there, but the rest of the brain's like, nah, it's not there. So, because this illusion lasts for more than 1 month, it can develop schizophrenia because the serotonin levels in the brain skyrocket, causing hallucinations. Oh, isn't that disturbing? Schizophrenia signs can include the inability to determine reality from fantasy, as I have mentioned earlier, and could also relate to the apathy of a human. Now, this might sound strange, but there's positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia. Now, just to be perfectly honest, neither one of them are good. None of them are good. The reason is why it's positive and negative is because, well, positive ones can be treated more easily with medications and therapies, but negative ones have trouble being treated and can almost never be treated whatsoever. Positive symptoms include hallucinations. So like I mentioned before, that dragon is flying around. You think it's real, you know it's a hallucination. But the weird thing about schizophrenic hallucinations is that you're perfectly aware that you're hallucinating. Only when it's gotten so severe that you can't determine reality from fantasy, you start to believe that those hallucinations are real. Hallucinations include auditories. Auditory is how we hear. Now, it doesn't have to do with the ears, the auditory hallucinations. It does with the mind and the back of your head. No, literally, the back of your head. Where the brainstem meets the brain is where your cognitive thinking and how you move is. And also cognitive thinking is kind of spread out around your brain. But with that, allows you allows you to hallucinate. So, example, you could be hearing your name in nothing, or you could be seeing something that's not really there, again, but it's a little bit more serious. It's not like a psychedelic drug or anything like that. It's way more serious. And also, I'm not talking about like hearing your name and running water, that's just normal, okay? So, don't say you have schizophrenia if you just hear your name and running water. Another positive symptom is delusions. Now, delusions are similar, but they're different. Well, the thing is about delusions is that there's just a normal object, and it's there, you touch it, but it contorts. It just disfigures. It could stretch its head to a size of a giraffe, and then stretch back down. Because the brain is confused, because the serotonin levels are skyrocketing. Serotonin, if you're wondering, is a chemical that allows you, that's similar to dopamine receptors, and can allow you to hallucinate. In fact, drugs like LSD target serotonin, so you can hallucinate stronger. And racing thoughts. Now, racing thoughts involved in there. You may not realize it, but you know when you have a math test and you see that one question that everybody's stuck on, like, can we all nod our heads in agreement there? Like, really, we've all been there. But when you try to focus on that problem, your mind starts to continue racing on into things that really you shouldn't be focusing on. You should be trying to get in your brain. And no, do not use racing thoughts as an excuse for when you fail that math test. Don't say you have ADHD because of that, because racing thoughts can just happen all the time. Alright, so ADHD is not an excuse. Schizophrenia is a lot more serious. And you can't just say you have ADHD because you experience racing thoughts at one time. Negative symptoms are lack of emotion. You have a poker face most of the time. You see someone just mug somebody, you still have no emotion. Loss of social skills, I've had them before. You have trouble talking to people. Apathy is hard to explain, but it's kind of I can't really explain it. Right now I don't have the time. Disorganized thoughts are the worst one. Disorganized thoughts can destroy a person inside and out. Disorganized thoughts can cause a person to be basically destroyed and not know who they are. Luckily for schizophrenia, there are treatments. Treatments that are similar to therapies with sociotherapists and others I'm hurrying. Okay. The therapies include therapists and medications that can stop hallucinations and determine reality from fantasy. But not everyone has access to these, but we do in Canada with universal health care. And this can get people their jobs back. Thank you for your time.
Wow, what a fantastic speech. Up next, we have Nicola Tran, who will be talking about factitious disorder today.
Hello everyone, I'm Nick and I'll be talking about factitious disorder today. Did you know in a severe case of factitious disorder, people can kill, or that people 20 to 40 years old are more likely to develop this condition? You may be thinking, Nicholas, you're saying all these facts. What even is this disorder? Factitious disorder is when someone hurts themselves or other close members to gain attention from others. Besides hurting themselves, they will usually hurt children because they're so vulnerable. I once watched an episode of Deadly Women, which is a crime show, and this lady kept on making her children sick to the point that she took their lives. The doctors told her not to have any more children, but that did not stop her. She had one more child and the doctor with more, and obviously she took their lives too. The police got suspicious and then convicted her of murder. In this situation, she was never diagnosed, but in my opinion, I think she had factitious disorder and a mix with another condition. There are quite a few symptoms to look for if you have or think a loved one has factitious disorder. A few are exaggerating injuries/illnesses, wanting to have many risky surgeries/operations, and an interesting one I found is having little hospital visitors. There aren't many causes for factitious disorder, but people who have it could have lost a family member very little, are very unlikely to seek help even when proof is shown that they are faking or exaggerating their illness. People who have this condition are willing to risk their lives to be sick. They will probably have other medical disorders as well. As a result, they may face possible complications such as loss of organs and limbs from unnecessary surgery, alcohol or other substance abuse, and problems in daily life, relationships, and work. Thank you for your time and have a good day.
Our next speaker is Amari Montero, who will be speaking on autism.
responsible for his family. Also, high blood pressure and fast blood make it more likely people get a heart attack or stroke. In conclusion, I could say that coping with stress is a very important skill that helps you to save your mental and physical health. And one of the best ways to deal with it is to find something that makes you feel happy and safe. Thank you for listening.
Now, once again, thank you for giving that presentation to us. Other than speaking in front of a group, can you think of an example in your life that you don't mind sharing that causes stress as well?
Writing a test, for example, or driving a car for the first time.
So, you've done that? You see, it will be in the future, right? Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ava Decker, and I'm going to be speaking about stress and how to cope with it. The percentage of elementary student stress is skyrocketing. Out of 50,000 elementary students, almost 90% suffer from stress. This is a very alarming percentage, even for me, and we need to try to correct this before it's too late. In my opinion, there needs to be some apprehension of stress before any step is taken to try to cope with it. It is very vital that we decipher the health, feelings, and behavior effects stress has on our bodies. Not only does stress affect your mental health, it also affects your physical. Liver problems, headaches, and heart difficulties are just some examples that are stress-related. All of these problems occur as an outcome of your body fighting off the stress. You can't just let your body fight off the stress. You need to prevent it in some ways. Stress can also flare up your bad feelings, such as anger, trouble with concentration, and inability to be positive. When being stressed, sometimes listening to soothing music can calm you down when you have pressure on your shoulders. I know it helps me. The second feeling that comes up is distractedness. When stress occurs, worries, anxieties, and negative thoughts pop up in your mind. A way to cope with it is to isolate yourself from distracting things or people. The final feeling that might transpire is the inability to think positively. You can have a lot on your plate in some instances, which can stop you from realizing the good things that happen in life. Writing one good thing down that happened to you each day can really help you cope with the stress. Behavioral changes can eventuate when under stress. To elaborate, sleeping difficulties and unhealthy eating habits may happen. Your brain won't shut off. Worries, negative thoughts, and anxieties can cause it. Just taking a walk, having a relaxing bath, or not watching TV before bed can help end this symptom. Who has had McDonald's or Mr. Noodles? Although those deliciously unhealthy foods are time-saving and comforting,
Soon after that, he started to stutter and slur his words. Within only 2 weeks, he lost his ability to speak completely, and he was having up to 40 seizures a day. Noah's parents were informed that he had LKS. At the age of 6, Noah now has to take 7 different types of medications a day to stop the seizures, and speech therapy has given him the ability to speak again. LKS affects the parts of the brain that control comprehension and speech. To diagnose LKS, it's imperative for doctors to do an EEG test. If a child has LKS, an EEG would show doctors abnormal electrical activity in both the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Treatments for this disorder consist of speech therapy and medication. Language problems almost always continue into adulthood, but the seizures normally stop when the patient is around 15 years old. Most of us are unaware of disorders like LKS. We need to stop being ignorant and realize that these children were just like us, until one day they weren't. Instead of laughing with their friends and playing in the park, they were taking medication and going through speech therapy. So if we get to laugh and talk with our friends and have a happy childhood, we have to be aware of what these other children have to fight through. That makes us so much more mature and so much more grateful for having healthy lives.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to choose this topic?
Well, I wanted to do like a disorder or a syndrome that no one has really heard of. And I was just searching online, honestly, to find it, and I found this. And I thought it was really interesting because imagine being just like 6 years old and having to go through speech therapy and taking medication and not being able to speak.
So before I start my speech, I would like to tell you a true story. A group of friends and I worked super hard on a project while balancing other school subjects and responsibilities at home. We didn't have the best tools, but we did our best and we're proud of ourselves. When our project was presented, a few of our classmates responded with the following comments. Your project was only chosen because of gender equality. Your project was trash. Girls can't do anything. This is why my speech is so important. We are all equal in the sense that we share the same humanity. We are all worthy of the same dignity and respect. It's the 21st century, but people are still providing themselves with this excuse that some people are greater or lesser than others. I don't understand this because almost 200 years ago, the founding fathers of the USA said these exact words. All humans are created equal. If people 200 years ago said this, then how come individuals in 2017 are being treated unequally? Today, we all live together despite our different religions and cultures, different languages, skin colors, genders, and beliefs. If you think I just listed things that separate us as humans, you are wrong. These things make us unique as people. According to Dr. Stephen Sketcher from the University of Toronto, all humans are 99.9% similar to any other human. People are using the 0.5% to discriminate. Does it not seem ridiculous to you? While we shouldn't judge people for superficial differences, we should also not judge people for things beyond their control. For example, circumstances at birth. We can all agree it's pure luck. You could be born into an advantaged or disadvantaged family. You could be born in a developed or developing country. You can't decide. And knowing our world, the place you were born and the place you are living today really defines how people see you. And I think this shouldn't define us because we didn't decide how our lives were going to start. Our parents didn't decide. Generations and generations of human beings didn't decide. So why is it allowed to be held against us? All this fragmentation of the world is limiting our ability to evolve and make this world a better place. Unity is the way forward, not segregation. And I'm 100% sure that each and every human you ask will say they want a better world. So why not take this common factor and put it to our advantage? This is my question to those classmates who put us down. Fred, Christopher Robin, the boy who would always come and visit them in the 100 acres. Now, what could these beloved characters possibly be tied to? What could they possibly betray, except for childhood, innocence, and make-believe? Well, if you put their characteristics in a realistic perspective, each of the members of Winnie the Pooh possesses a mental disorder. Apparently, being the only one able to hear, see, and speak with talking woodland critters are symptoms of schizophrenia. Jumping around, not being able to concentrate on a simple task, and always on the move is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD. Carrying a tremendous amount of worry, stress, and anxiety. And finally, you're always down when you suffer with depression. Now, each of the disorders I have briefly described can be diagnosed within each of the members of Winnie the Pooh, and are all under the umbrellas of mental health. Mental health is just as important to take care of as your physical health. Keeping your thoughts and attentions in excellent conditions. Thoughts and attention in excellent conditions is key to a healthy lifestyle. Now I know some turns and events may lead to one's mental well-being to wither and wilt, like schoolwork, friendship, relationships. The only way to relieve the things that are deteriorating your insides, heavily weighing on your mind, and getting in the way of your happiness is through communication. Seeking help is a step to recovering your mental health. Because speaking about your problems will not only lead you to the solution of it as well, it will make you feel better. You don't have to face whatever's bothering you on your own. Share your load, then it'll be easy to carry. I'm sorry to ruin your notions on Winnie the Pooh. I was shocked too. Nevertheless, there are people just like Christopher Robbins, and Winnie, and others. If you know someone just like that, and who isn't being aided, please give them the assistance they need. Or tell someone who can. Don't just stand around there and watch. Your mental health is a part of who you are, and plays a huge role in who you want to be. Tend to it. Thank you.
Pizza. It's cheesy, it's savory, and my bad. I should talk about the Mandela effect. No, I should definitely talk about what to expect in middle school. Has this ever happened to you? Why are speeches so hard to do? I mean, I can write stories without a problem. Actually, that's a lie. It took me like a week before due date to find the idea. But that has something in common, you know? It all starts with the idea, the topic. Picture this. You're sitting at your desk doing some deep thinking, trying to find a topic that speaks to you. You think, then you finally got it, right? Wrong. Instead, you think of a topic, do some research on it, and you say, well, I finally found a topic. But then you realize it may not be a topic that everyone's interested in, and that could be a problem. So you sit there, thinking. Then you finally found it, a topic. You take out that paper that was handed out in class by that darn teacher who suggested doing speeches in the first place, and you get that paper done. The next day you get to class with a thesis, and you're in the next step of writing your speech. You're busy writing away with your thinking cap on when the most dreaded thing happens. You hear that your topic has been taken from the beginning, so now you're back at square one. What I really hate that makes speeches so much harder to do is when I get helped out. Don't get me wrong, I love when people take time off their hands to help me, but when it comes to speeches, it's a real pain. It's when you don't have a topic and someone tells you how to find one. Oh, what type of speech do you want to do? Oh, why don't you talk about pens? Oh, what hobbies do you like to do? What is your favorite type of tree? Like, of course, my answer to all of those is I don't know. So now I'm stuck with an empty mind and a very aggravated friend. But at the end of the day, you find a topic that meets all your guidelines. 1, does it speak to you? of writing your speech, the actual writing your speech part. Now you may think, oh, writing a speech is so much easier than finding a topic, right? Wrong again. Picture this. You're sitting in front of your computer or a piece of paper, and all you have is your title, name, and date. You're racking your brain here. You have no idea how to start your speech. All because of that darn teacher also wanted 3 main reasons and 3 paragraphs for your speech. You're looking back at the paper with the 3 main reasons, and you try to make sense of your awful handwriting. By then, I would usually continue working. I promise, I would. Right after I check Instagram, Snapchat, BuzzFeed. Hey, don't judge. Probably do the same thing. But by then, it's like 11:37, and you don't even have at least 1.5 paragraphs done. At least your streaks on Snapchat are still going, right? It's 12 a.m., and that's when you finally have the strength to continue your speech. You sit at your computer or piece of paper and work away. By 1 a.m., you have at least 3 paragraphs in your Google Docs, and you log off your computer. It's time to hit the hay. Ding goes the school bell, and up the stairs you go. You open the school's Chromebooks and you work away. And guess what? Because of the focus you displayed here, you are now done writing your speech. You're able to perform it in front of the entire class or school. Which brings me to my next topic, which is presenting. What a shame. I mean, public speaking, whoever thought of that, ancient Greece, deserves Mount Vesuvius' wrath. I love speaking. It's a rush. People looking at you, waiting for you to mess up, all eyes on one face, my face. Okay, don't get me wrong. Listen, it seems bad, but when instead you deliver an amazing speech, it's like, you did it, right? The teacher calls you up and you're shaking, just for minutes. That's all you have to do. Start. Pace yourself, just like you practice. 1, don't think of the people. Focus on your voice. 2, just 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. Let the words flow out. 3, you're on your last paragraph. You look at your friends and see them, and then you look at your teacher and see them smiling and engaged. Not bad. Then, when you're so close, so close, your tongue decides to stumble on you. All the anxiety and worries rush back, and now you're looking like a complete idiot. You stop. When you finally got the courage to continue, the word just escapes your mouth easily, as if there was no trouble. But you finish your speech and you have to take a seat. Now you have to wait for the teacher to grade your project. The anxiety building up inside you makes you sweat and shiver, makes you feel as though the entire earth has a huge earthquake, sending you into discomfort. Of course, this never happened to me, so I wouldn't know. I love speeches. Don't get me wrong. It's really hard finding a topic. It's tricky. But once you got it, you got it. So go out there and deliver a speech. I promise it's not going to be as hard as you think. Thank you.
Are you really alive or not? Is it all just a dream? Well, Cotard syndrome or Cotard delusion is a rare mental illness where the affected person believes they're already dead. They not only believe they're dead, but they believe that they're putrefying or possibly lost all their internal blood and organs. Yeah, there's no pain there. The denial of self-existence WI. WI denied his existence. He had traumatic brain damage and was taken to outpatient care in January 1990. He couldn't recognize familiar faces, places, or objects. He claimed that he had been taken to hell after dying of AIDS. WI sought out a neurological testing in May 1990. Later on, he was able to distinguish dead and alive people and was fully recovered within a month. So, did you answer my questions in the beginning? Are you really alive or not? Is it all just a dream? Well, people who suffer from Cotard's delusion ask themselves this all the time.
Thank you. It's hard waiting till the end, and you delivered really well. I think probably everybody here wants to know, where did you come up with this topic? I've never heard of it. I love when students.
I went from 3 different topics, to be honest. Like, I started off as like on depression, but then I kind of wanted to do something different, something that nobody would ever think of doing. So I spent like a lot of time just researching different topics, going on different websites, and I found this topic, and I thought it was kind of cool, so I decided to research on it.
Thank you for teaching us.
Also, all of our staff and students who are participating in the first annual Speech Arts contest. I'm really thrilled to be a part of this, so thank you for all of our teachers and staff for coordinating this wonderful event. So, Ms. Berry and Ms. Jimenez, myself, had the honor and privilege of going back and reflecting on the wonderful presentations and the speeches that were made today. We were all thrilled with the strength and the passion and the enthusiasm that our presenters have delivered. So when we had to decide on the top 3 finalists, it was a really difficult task. But before we do that, I'd like to just give our presenters a round of applause for the wonderful work. Thank you. So Ms. Berry, Ms. Jimenez, and I all agree that our presenters had strong speeches, especially our 3 finalists. They were engaging, so they presented with poise and enthusiasm, and they held the audience's attention. So that means you were grappling the topics and reflecting and considering what the topics were about. And the structure of the speeches were well written, and the topics selected, some of which we all have never heard of. So the selection of those very unique disabilities or disorders were very insightful for us to learn about. And you have full knowledge of understanding of these topics. So on behalf of our team, we'd like to present to the top 3 finalists.